Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
$11:01 on Edmonton Sports Talk. Thank you very much for being here. You can text us anytime, 780-218-9999. How about Josh Clausen there at the end of the hangout, eh? That was awesome. If you missed it, make sure you go back and check out that hangout video as he was dropping some bars over there on the hangout today. That was nice. NHL last night. Did we even have to talk about it? My God. Are you kidding me? That was a horrible night. Just 2 games. How can you get your heart broken by just 2 games on the sked going so wrong? So we'll get into that today. We're obviously going to talk some golf today. We'll take a look at if anything's moved over at the Super Bowl as well. And I'm sure they'll be continue to throw up more props along the way. Actually, the spread has moved to 2 right now. Niners are now 2-point favorites. So that money is moving and the line is moving in the direction of the Niners. Huss is going to be by shortly. Pat Gregor is going to join us as well. We take a look at Pebble Beach. We need a golf slate today. That's what we have to do. We got to dive into the golf. 3 games in the National Hockey League tonight. We will certainly get into that. When Huss joins us, I am going to make a case for, and we'll get into it tomorrow, but I kind of want to hit on it a little bit today. Tomorrow we'll do more of a deeper NHL futures episode because Coolbet has updated all of those over at coolbet.com, the presenting sponsor, of course, of the Lock Shop and our only betting partner, our exclusive betting partner here at Edmonton Sports Talk is Coolbet. And all you have to do is sign up for an account, go to coolbet.com, use the code LOCKSHOP, all one word when you do, and you'll get a 100% bonus on your initial deposit, which is the exact reason my old man signed up. He loves getting bonuses for things because, you know, he's a senior citizen. So he signed up, and now he's been gambling, sprinkling, not going too crazy on it. Likes to take dogs. Likes to take parlays, likes to shoot big. I know where I get it from. I don't like playing the safe very often either. But yeah, sign up, get the bonus there, and we'll get into that. Anyway, what I was saying is the NHL futures are up, and we'll get into those. We'll take a deeper dive on those tomorrow. But there's just a couple, especially from our show this morning. We were talking about the Art Ross number with Connor McDavid, and obviously it's a long way to kind of get back in the mix there. We kind of did the math on it a little bit, and we don't mind it. Well, I actually kind of really like it. If you're ever going to get Connor McDavid on anything, it's never going to be at 25 plus 2,500. So we'll discuss that a little bit as well. Huss is here, and like I said, Pat Gregor will pop by a little bit later on. Huss, we got some golf to get to. We got Strevler returning to the Canadian Football League. That's going to be a big one for WST today, isn't it?
You know what? It will be. People are fired up. I mean, he's a legend in this city, and it's crazy. He was never really even the starting quarterback, but he is. He's just such a character that was so beloved. And I mean, listen, when you wait 30 years for a Grey Cup party, and then one individual steps up and basically puts 30 years of waiting into that party with a performance of a lifetime. No shirt, fur coat, cowboy hat, cigar. I mean, he's, let's just say he is incredibly popular here. And, it worked out great. I mean, he got to go to the NFL. He ended up being on rosters for 4 years. He ended up being rostered enough that he got his NFL pension. But this guy's a warrior, man, and a competitor and wants to play. And I'm sure he could have been a third string guy, practice roster guy. But at this point in his life, he wants to get out there. He absolutely loved Winnipeg. He did say that if he was coming back to the league, he'd come back to the Bombers. He's signed for $120K, which for a backup quarterback is probably quite reasonable. Jeff Hamilton, the Free Press, noting that I think the belief is that with his incredible popularity, there's some money to be made for him off the field here.
Yeah, I think that would be fair. Yeah,
which is a big advantage for the Bombers to be able to make that happen. So, Strev's back. And I'll tell you what, Dusty, and again, we won't get too much into off-season CFL talk here in the Lock Shop right now, but I do wonder what this means for the running back situation here in Winnipeg. in that,
Oh boy.
like, it's not like he's going to be playing running back, but DT mentioned in his last year, he was the most effective runner in the Canadian Football League. I mean, when he ran the football, yards per carry, everything that goes into DT's numbers, he was number one. He'll be able to handle backup duties when needed. They will play him every game. He'll go in some different packages and be able to run or throw the football. But if you have Strevler there, who's able to get you 2-3 yards when you need it pretty consistently, I mean, what does that do to they'd love to have Brady Oliveira back. He's a hometown guy. But I mean, if he's looking to break the bank when the Bombers are in a tough situation, being as successful as they've been, everyone deserves raises. And you've got arguably the 5 top running backs in the Canadian Football League all on the market. It's going to make for an interesting decision for the Bombers, but also for Brady. Because I don't know how that, it's not a good thing for him that all those other guys are free agents.
That's the problem that he's facing here is that I don't know, is somebody going to be willing to break the bank? And I hope it happens for him. I hope somebody does pay him. But if not, can you just go and settle for, hope Kadeem Carey stays healthy or stand back and, some good years left there and stand back right now. And some of the other guys, obviously Ouellette's still kicking around as well. So I think that should help the Bombers, if anything, and maybe getting them back at somewhat of a reasonable number.
I do too. And I think he wants it. And I mean, speaking of what we just said about Strevler with off-field income, I think Brady could, I don't know what that number is, but I think it's significant in CFL terms, what he'd be able to get off the field in Winnipeg that might not be available in any other market outside of maybe Saskatchewan. Like if Saskatchewan could sign Brady Oliveira and he goes and plays for the Riders, he would be immediately adopted as one of their own, and I think treated as such. But I'll say this: I really do think that the general feeling over the last number of years about running backs and how there's so much else that goes into it and how quote unquote replaceable they are, which you can agree or disagree with it. It's still good to have a damn good running back, but the fact that all of the top guys are out there, it will be fascinating to see how things shake out because, teams are going to know that there's a surplus of talent available at free agency at that position. And if you don't get one guy, you can go a different direction. Oliveira is obviously the first choice of the Bombers, and I would imagine would probably be of most other teams as well. But I'm not sure that premium that he is looking for or hoping for is going to be there. Listen, I hope he gets what he deserves, and he does deserve a nice raise and a nice contract. But there's something to be said about being here at home with a team that's won the West for the last 4 years, running behind that Bomber offensive line. And I will say the grass is not necessarily always greener. And next few weeks of the CFL are going to be very, very interesting. But yes, today, a day of celebration in the Peg because Strev is back in blue and gold.
Richard Croft and the Nasty Chest. Good day, gents. My George Costanza opposite parlay paid off again. Sharks and the Blue Jackets to both win on the money line, plus 599. Huss was right. The better teams mentally were just not there. They were just not there last night.
That's what made me nervous about that Blues pick last night. And man, did they check out. And of course, I had Elvis Merzlikins on my bench in fantasy. Wasn't there to get his shutout against St. Louis. For a team that's just clinging on to a wild card by the thinnest of margins to win 5 in a row, to get shut out at home by Columbus is, really, it is inexcusable. But as Richard said, we mentioned there is the potential of those guys thinking much more about getting the hell out of there after the game, and didn't seem like they were particularly ready to play. And hey, good for Columbus, good for the Sharks. They get wins. Going into the break, maybe it'll take the sting of such disappointing seasons off. But yeah, if you're St. Louis, if you're the coach of St. Louis or like Dave Haxtell in Seattle, you got to be sour going into the break, losing a glorious opportunity for 2 massive points that we could look back at the end of the season and identify that game when those teams didn't show up as the reason why they're not in the postseason, missing by just a point or 2.
3 games in the National Hockey League tonight. Tomorrow, with all these player awards and things like that being posted, we will get into an NHL futures. But Huss, I do want to lay out a case here for Connor McDavid to win the Art Ross Trophy.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I said we need to get these odds.
He's 18. I want to get to it now because we talked about this on our show this morning. It was 25-1. It is now 23-1. If we wait even a little bit longer, by the time we get to it tomorrow, lock shoppers might miss out on this because the number is going to continue to move, I think. But what I found kind of interesting is he's 18 points back. And McKinnon and Kucherov are having phenomenal offensive seasons. I don't want to take anything away from them there. But where this gets interesting is that Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers have 5 games in hand on Kucherov and 4 games in hand on McKinnon. And with Connor McDavid, 5 games could be 13, 14 points, which basically puts him right back on a level playing field with these guys. The Oilers are not going to be not the Tampa or Colorado either are going to be in a spot where guys can let up a little bit at the end of the season. All these teams are in good playoff battles right now. But I still think McDavid, the only thing that worries me is that, the Oilers are playing tighter hockey right now, but he's going to get his. And the 4 or 5 games in hand at 25-1 to overcome that with those games in hand, I think it's a number that you kind of just have to get on and ride with it and think that, he could really take advantage of those 4 or 5 games and then at least make it interesting. If one of those guys has a little bit of a slump, all of a sudden he's right there and you got it at 23-1 as of right now.
In some ways it's preposterous to think it's even possible.
Exactly. It is. But on it.
There's one guy on the planet. There's one guy on the planet that could make it interesting. And listen, I know there's a lot of Oiler fans there that maybe didn't, because what was he to win it at the beginning of the year? Like even money?
I would think no more than plus 130, 140. He's ran away with it recently, right? So,
and hey, listen, and guys can get hurt too.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's
no, but there's always that wild card in there, and at 23-1, you factor in all these things that could happen, and it just seems like pretty insane value on one of, if not the most talented hockey player ever. Now McKinnon's having a phenomenal year, and Kucherov's just lighting the world on fire. But I don't know.
And listen, let's say he comes out of the break and catches fire. They make up a few of those games, and all of a sudden, instead of 18 points, we get it to single digits.
Yeah.
I truly believe that McDavid, listen, I know it's all about the playoffs and it's all about making things happen in the playoffs, but he is such a great player and I think such a proud guy. I think he realizes that to pull that off would be something, frankly, somewhat historic. And he's made a lot of history in the past, and I think that he would be all in on trying to make that happen. So I'm fully in on just a small little sprinkle.
Just a little. We're not telling you put your house on it, but stay cool, bet responsibly.
You throw 10, 15 bucks on that, and every time Connor, you're basically cheering for Connor every night and looking at the box scores of Tampa and Colorado and hoping that those guys get kept off the board. It is somewhat crazy still that number is as big as it is, but the games in hand are huge. Yeah. So that does change the equation. It's not like they're even games and he's got to basically get a half a point more than these guys for every game the rest of the season. Got to have a few big ones, which is likely in the games that they're making up, and then continue on the tear that he and his team has been on. It's
funny because even his number compared to everybody else in that field just goes to show that he's respected at a different level, because Pasternak has the same amount of points right now as McDavid, and he's plus 5,000. Like he's 50-1 to do it, and Connor McDavid's at 2,300. So they're right at the same starting point right now. So obviously McDavid at a different level, right? So
and of course, the Bruins have played 4 more games.
Yeah, that's true too.
4 more games for McDavid, just at the pace that they're on. We're basically talking about at minimum 6, 7 points. So all of a sudden that cuts it to a dozen.
Yeah.
So, like, listen, if you had the guys at even games, McDavid would still have a lesser number than Pasternak. But again, the games in hand is why this is even a conversation that we're having. But yeah, I'm going to jump on that as well with everyone before it gets out of hand.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's inside 20-1 by the time they play next Tuesday. So hop on it now at plus 2,300, and we'll see where it ends up settling in. I do want to get to Super Bowl, but quickly, just on the NHL slate tonight, Huss, and then Pat's going to join us, and we're going to dive into the Pebble Beach event here. We've got the Sens and the Red Wings. Ottawa minus 105, Detroit minus 112 on the money line. Total in that game set at 7. The Kings and the Preds. Preds minus 105, Los Angeles minus 111. The Kings still a little bit of a train wreck. And then the Ducks minus 187 at home against the Sharks, who did pick up that victory last night. Totals in both of those last two games are set at 6. This is it for the National Hockey League before All-Star Weekend really gets rolling in Toronto. When you look at this small slate tonight, and if you're watching on YouTube or you're listening online and you want to text in 780-218-9999 or in the nasty chat as well, what do you like out of these 3 games tonight? Huss, what are you looking at?
Well, I'll tell you what, I know Richard just popped in and talked about the underdogs last night. If anything, the fact that the Sharks won that game last night, I think might give them a bit of a boost. And I mean, Anaheim's a relatively young, somewhat immature team. I could see them, like, they have no business being a minus 187 favorite against anybody. So to be honest, I don't mind the value, I think, on San Jose at plus 157. The Kings Predators game is is wild. Like, we had Dennis Bernstein on the show yesterday from the 4th period down in LA, and he believes that this very well could be a win or you're done game for Todd McClellan.
Yeah.
Like, if they lose this game and they decide to make a move on the coach will have sort of a week to get in there, prepare, go through everything that needs to be changed, and then get in. I have a hard time imagining they move on from McClellan. I mean, he's so tied in with Blake, Luc Robitaille, and those guys, but they've been that. I mean,
if they like no show tonight, that might be it. You know, like if it's just like going through the motions.
I think I'm going to take Nashville. Like, let's see the world burn. Let's see this keep going on. And that game, actually, you know, we see how those other teams, and I'm sure Nashville was watching that last night. Like, Nashville got a point against Ottawa on Monday, but they saw the Kraken and the Blues lose last night. This is an opportunity for Nashville, who will have played 51 games after tonight. So again, they played more than everyone else. This is such an important game for them. They're tied with LA right now, but the Kings have 3 games in hand. So a win for Nashville to get 2 points up on LA kind of puts them more in even keel. I mean, you know, based on points percentage, the Kings would still be up on them. But again, their points percentage in the last 6 weeks has been a disaster. So I'm going to go, I would assume, let's pull up these starting goalies tonight. I would assume that they're going to roll Saros again. You got to go on a nice break after that. And I don't even know. So yeah, they're like, and the Kings are going to go with Big Save Dave. It looks like.
Big job, Save Dave.
Oh, Big Save Dave. Like Cam Talbot. So Cam Talbot's going to be at the All-Star game representing the Kings on a 10 or 11 game losing streak. That's unfortunate. And Saros is in. And then we got Korpisalo and Alex Lyon, Sens and Red Wings. I'll say this about the Sens. I like the way they came back and won that game in OT after being down 3-0 in the first period at home against Nashville. I think I sort of trust Detroit more in this spot, though. And I certainly trust Alex Lyon the way he's playing more than Korpisalo. So I think I'm going to roll with Detroit. I'm going to roll with Nashville. And what the heck? The San Jose Sharks with Kaapo Kähkönen expected in the net tonight. What about you?
I mean, I do like the Sharks play. I think I'll probably be on Sharks, Preds, and I'm kind of feeling the Wings. So Detroit, Nashville, Kings just don't have it. I don't know what's going on there. You laid out all the cases on every side of that thing with the Los Angeles Kings. And then I do like the Sharks there at plus 157. And if you want to chime in the old nasty chat, you can hit us up with your thoughts on these three games tonight. Somebody did ask on the text line at 780-218-9999. The better question here is, how is Elvis on Huss's fantasy team? Columbus is terrible. What's going on there, Huss? Are you doing well or what?
Well, I started off 0-5. I have bounced back somewhat. I believe my team is now, I'm 7-9 now after an 0-5 start. Like this league that I'm in, the goalies are so important. If you get a shutout, like I think you get 3 points for a win, you get 0.1 for a save,
okay,
and minus half a point for a goal against. So if your guy gets blown up, you can be in the minus. But if he wins and 5 points for a shutout, 3 for a win. If you get a shutout, you're basically getting double digits, which is huge. And I have Bobrovsky, who's good, and he's basically playing most nights. And it was just a matter of trying to get guys that were starters. So I was thinking originally I had Vejmelka in Arizona, but he kind of became the number 2 guy. So I was just looking for warm bodies that could play. But I did pick up Alex Lyon. He's been awesome. He's my other starter right now. So I'm going with Bob and Alex Lyon. But yeah, in this league, just having those studs, like, man, you get a guy like Connor Hellebuck that's going to play 2 or 3 times a week, win most nights. You're so far ahead. And the thing is, with the wins being 3 points, even if you got a goalie like Elvis that plays a lot but doesn't win, you're way, way behind the 8 ball. But rest of the squad's pretty good. Couple of under, Jason Robertson has not been as good as I expected.
As last year. Yeah.
You know who's been unreal, though? That was a later pick of mine. Sam Reinhart.
Oh,
what a season he is having this year. Clayton Keller, Aho, had a few bad injuries too, but again, 0-5, 7-9.
That's a nice turnaround
right now.
It's a nice turnaround. 7-4, right 7-4. That's good.
Hey, you know what? Considering we're not going to have hockey for the next little bit, and if we like Detroit and Nashville,
yeah.
What do we think about a little partner parlay? Now, we've got 2 options here. If we want to go crazy and put Sharks to win, like the plus 157 money line, so just a straight money line parlay, it's plus 850. Would be more than 9-1. The other option on this is maybe to be a little bit more conservative and to play Sharks on the puck line plus a goal and a half.
Yeah, minus 164.
Minus 164. So Predators, Wings, and Sharks puck line is plus 495. We probably get that in excess of plus 550.
Yeah, no, I like that for sure. Let's do that. Jake, if you're watching, well, Patty's coming on here right away as well. But yeah, we take that for sure. Sharks plus 1.5. So Sharks on the puck line, and then the Preds and the Wings, the 2 home teams tonight on the money line. And that's plus 495 before the little cool bet boost. Huss, quickly, right before we bring Pat in, and we can transition into this with Pat, little bit of line movement for the Super Bowl, and we'll keep tabs on this every single day. The Niners are now a 2-point favorite against the Kansas City Chiefs. Your thoughts on that number moving towards the Niners right now?
Well, I mean, I love it. This seems to happen every week with the Chiefs. 2-3 weeks ago, it wasn't as much Miami. The line actually moved towards the Chiefs just because of what the weather was happening. But you saw as we got through the week and closer to the week, more and more people convinced themselves that the Buffalo Bills were going to be the team to beat Kansas City. And then last week, more and more people convinced themselves that it was the Ravens' time and the Ravens were going to beat Kansas City. And we know how that one ended up. And now it seems everyone was all fired up about, the Mahomes, but then the second game was Brock Purdy and the Niners that they won. And it came out at 3. There was a ton of sharp money on Kansas City right off the bat. But now it seems to be leaking towards the Niners again. And I to be honest, I'm not really even paying attention to the spread as much. I mean, we've talked about this. This is a money line Super
game,
Bowl.
yeah.
But it was minus 102 at one point. Then it was plus 103. Then it was plus 106. I made sort of a larger wager already, just guaranteeing I was going to get plus money because I wasn't sure whether we were going to end up closer to a pick 'em. And now I'm staring at plus 111. So you know what that means? Double down, which I just did. So,
here's an interesting note on the Chiefs. In their last 22 games as a dog, they're 17-4-1 against the spread with 16 outright wins. So, I mean, it's crazy if that. I don't. Well, let's bring in Pat. Let's bring in P. Greggy here, Pat Gregoire from Coolbet. Pat, this number doesn't move any more towards the Niners, does it? Like, is 2 the most we're going to see, or does this get to 2.5 at some point?
I thought it was going to settle in nicely at minus 1.5.
Yeah,
but it seems to keep moving. And when you look at where the money is going, it's continuing to be a steady flow of cash rolling in on the Chiefs. But we are seeing some more money come in on the 49ers. I think looking at the splits before I came on here, it was at about 66% to 34% in favor of the Chiefs, which again is definitely a little bit closer than what we saw a few days ago. Up to like about 6K on the 49ers. So that leads me to believe maybe it's some sharp money. Some of the sharper bettors are now starting to bet on the 49ers. But for me, I tend to agree with Huss. Like, if you're on the Chiefs, even if you have already been on them, I think you get it now. Like, I would even consider thinking about, even take a bit of not a risk, but, go with the Chiefs here by the half point or a full point, I should say. Think about maybe getting the Chiefs at +3 minus 133. So you don't have that heartbreaker if they do lose by a field goal and you have the Chiefs by a money line. At least maybe you're getting your money back with a hedge that way. Or even if you want to buy up all the way to 3.5, it's at minus 147. Definitely a little more juicy than what I like to do. But if you put a little bit of a heavier wage, a unit and a half, 2 units, whatever you're used to playing, and you get it to the 3.5, that kind of at least hedges you for the heartbreak if by chance the 49ers do win by a field goal.
Or take Chiefs -2, which is the biggest number you can get right now at +130.
That's where I'm leaning towards more, Huss. Like I said, I bet the Chiefs. I missed out at when it opened up early, but then I did ensure to get it before it was at I think +107, and I doubled down because I can get a better number, +111. So I bet it again. I might have 4 or 5 different tickets on the Chiefs, and shout out to Patrick Mahomes. I know I'm a Bills fan. I've grown to hate him. I respect the hell out of him, but I'm respecting him even more. Did you guys see the picture of him in the locker room? He is a proud owner of a dad bod, which makes me just have to like him even more because there is some human aspect to him. He's not shredded. He's not ripped. It's just a normal dude that does crazy things. And again, I'm done betting against Patrick Mahomes. I was done after the Bills game. We saw what happened against the Ravens, and until Patrick Mahomes is not wearing a Chiefs jersey, I just refuse not to bet on them in the postseason.
You know what Mahomes' record is as an underdog away from Arrowhead Stadium?
Like a bajillion.
10-0-1.
It's crazy.
He's 10-0-1. And this is from my man Nick Wright, who's just killing it these days. These are the closing lines, the lines for the last 6 Chiefs playoff games. Last year's AFC Championship game, they were 1.5-point dogs. Super Bowl, they were 1.5-point dogs. They were 4.5-point favorites in the Ice Bowl against the Dolphins. 2.5-point dogs against Buffalo, 4.5-point dogs against Baltimore, and now 2-point dogs against San Francisco. They have been underdogs in 5 of their last 6 playoff games. And they are 5-0 straight up in those games that have yet to be, that have been played. And of course, the Super Bowl's coming up this week.
I was just gonna say, I thought Nick Wright was my guy because he's one of the most pro LeBron guys around, and I love him for that. I love him for that.
But you know what? If you his number one crush is Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes.
He loves Mahomes. Yeah.
He was dropping banners on Brousseau and Kevin Wildes on Monday. I mean, it truly is performance art right now. But he's brilliant. This is not really a betting thing as much, but Colin Cowherd does the Colin Cowherd podcast. Nick was on yesterday. And listen, they talk about some football. They talk about some other things. It's as intelligent a sports conversation as I've heard in a long time. So if you love just smart sports talk, check out yesterday's edition. It was a really, really fun episode, and they hit on a whole bunch of things, some things even just tangentially related to sports as well. But thought I would let people know about that. I really definitely enjoyed it.
Jake, just quickly, Jake slid into the nasty chat. Goes, Nick Wright's a goof, but I'm not fading Mahomes. So,
I mean, that's pretty much my thinking as well. He's also a known Josh Allen hater, so that's why I'm on that fence. But I want, because it's Super Bowl. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, his Chiefs love fest it's a little bit too much for me to take. But when he's like the same passion for my guy LeBron, I got to give him a pass on the Chiefs stuff. So
the problem is, when it comes to the Chiefs, he's always right. So
yeah, well, I mean, but that being said, I mean, having a homer take on the Chiefs is a good take to have because they never let him down, right? So it's calling.
This is why he's so brilliant. This is why he's so brilliant. But I mean, hey, listen, he's been going in the face. I just rolled it out. They've been underdogs.
Yeah.
In 4 of their last 5 playoff games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to be, oh yeah, you know, when you're a 10-point favorite and you're crushing everybody. Like, let's not rewrite history, guys, here. A lot of people, some potentially on this show, kind of wrote off this team a number of times over the course of the season and in the playoffs. So, Nick, for all of us that have been believing all along, that have been watching and paying attention to some things other than the less than Chiefs-esque offense at times, it's all come together in a team that is poised to go back to back.
I also don't like the way Patrick Mahomes walks. He waddles awkwardly. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if his pants are too tight or what, but I don't even like the way he walks.
You know what? That's the walk of a champion.
I can't even say anything. I can't even. Well, but quickly, it's not. He's too bound up because he's so muscly. We saw the photo.
Yeah, that's right.
He's a regular guy, that's for sure. But I mean, it wouldn't be a Super Bowl chat without a little bit of Taylor Swift talk. And I don't know if you guys saw the tweet that was going out by Dove Cleveland. CBS only showed Taylor Swift for 44 seconds during the AFC Championship. She was on TV for 0.39% of Sunday's game and wasn't on air for 99.61% of the time. Are NFL fans overreacting? And I say yes. When you break it down like that, that is insane. But to put this into perspective, you guys talked about it, I think, on yesterday's show or maybe last week. Taylor Swift has generated $331.5 million for the Chiefs and the NFL since showing up to her first game in September.
What a monster.
And they're only showing her for 44 seconds during the championship. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because
props.
props. I don't know if the Taylor Swift, I don't think it is yet. We are going to have some Taylor Swift exclusive bets. Some of the ones you talked about, we definitely will have. Will Travis Kelce propose? We're going to have number of times Taylor Swift shows up on the broadcast. We will have to figure out, is it during the game or is it the entire broadcast?
Yeah, that's different.
That could change things. That could absolutely change things. But with that being said, when you see the initial number, don't just assume over, because I think people are just overreacting when they quickly show her on the broadcast. Again, it doesn't matter if they show her for 25 seconds or for 3 seconds. It counts as one. But just go. I just wanted to give a little tip that just don't take the over right away, because that it just NFL fans and the fans who are getting a little bit annoyed they might be blowing this out of proportion, and they're not actually showing her nearly as much as you think.
Anyone complaining about Taylor Swift is a complete loser or a hater. And you know what? The funny thing is, we heard all of this, and then you kind of dig into like who these people are that are saying that. Most of them are like political wackos that are motivated by things completely outside of anything to do with football. You mentioned the numbers. The game before, it was 25 seconds. And the thing is, it's actually swung to the other side. Like, most people were just like, whatever. And then you hear all these loud people that are saying all this stupid stuff. And now, like yesterday, Peter Schrager, Colin Cowherd, I tweeted it.
Yeah, that was a great commentary.
Unbelievable takedown of the people that are actually doing it. Hell, McAfee was talking about it yesterday and actually used the term Tavis, which is a Swiftie term for the couple. So it's completely turned around. Everyone loves Taylor, and you know what? She's going to be there. And listen, this is more bad news for the Niners, but there's a lot of Swiftie numerology out there. If you really dig deep into the streets, her favorite number is 13. It's like a big thing in her songs and stuff. This is going to be the 13th Chiefs game she attends this year.
Oh my
Super
God.
Bowl 58, 5 + 8, 13.
Oh my God.
Against the 49ers, 4 + 9, 13. So, listen, I'm not sure if she's a complete sorceress, but I will tell you,
pretty damn close.
We're back in the Super Bowl, guys, and I didn't think that was probably going to be the case about 2-3 months ago. And I did say on the show, tongue firmly planted in cheek here, as well as the Winnipeg Sports Talk, that, guys, listen, the union of the Chiefs Kingdom and the Swifties is a force unstoppable. It's actually seemingly turned out that way. So Swiftie, let's ride.
I do want the stopwatch option here, where we get it like 34.5 seconds during the game of Taylor Swift.
Okay.
So that we can be like stopping it on our phones while we're watching the game. I want that rush. I want that rush big time.
Well, I can't tell you. I told you guys we did it. Like, I just did a prop bet with another guy that was at the bar I was at for the game beforehand on how many times she would be shown. And we set the line at 5. And I kind of said, well, this is more a bet on Kelce catches, because that's sort of seemingly when they go to her after he caught the ball. But it added, I had a few people say the funnest part about being in that bar during the game was the excitement from your side when they showed her, and the agony on my buddy Barnsley's side when they showed her, and everyone got into it. So, there'll be T-Swift appearances is going to be, I think, a heavily bet one. But you are right, and it's very important to check out the time frame of what we're talking about, because listen, if it's the entire broadcast and the Chiefs win, she's
going to be on. She's going to be on the whole time. They're going to have a Swift cam,
much like the AFC Championship game. They're going to be looking for as much as they can get of that. And obviously, tough news with the for the Swifties, because with the tight Super Bowl schedule, Trav's not going to be able to be at the Grammys on Sunday. But he's got to work. He's got to work.
Got to stay focused. Business trip.
I'm just hoping when she wins album of the year, I just hope she finishes it off with like an Andy Reid. How about them Chiefs or something like that? That would break the internet.
Okay, look, guys, let's talk Pebble Beach. Let's talk Pro-Am.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like we got to get
Yes.
cruising along here. Huss has to leave for Winnipeg Sports Talk in like 12 minutes, so we got to get into this. P. Greggy, let's start with you, buddy. Who's jumping off the page for you this event?
Hey, by the way, quickly, the partner parlay is up.
Okay.
Detroit to win, Nashville to win, and Sharks puck line plus 185, boosted to plus 545. But for Richard Croft and myself, there is going to be an extra little sprinkle on those two teams, Nashville and Detroit, with the Sharks money line at plus 850 as well. But plus 545 in the exclusives right now. Good to go.
All right, now Pebble Beach.
So
Patty, give it to us,
quickly.
buddy.
Yeah, quickly before we dive into like who I like, but this season, and again, I know that the fields haven't been the greatest, but this start to the season has been pretty wild when you look at the winners. The first 4 winners from this year's season: Chris Kirk, 201; Grayson Murray, 400-1; Nick Dunlap, what a great story he was. He's in this tournament, 300-1; Matthew Pavon, 125-1. But with that being said, Pebble Beach is back to being a signature event, which it always should have. It's a gorgeous course. It's iconic, and it's great that the PGA Tour gave it this designation for a signature event. I think that run of long shots comes to an end. With that being said, later on in my picks, I do go with a little bit of long shot, but I'm looking higher up on the board. Victor Hovland, 12-1. Not my favorite bet, but just the fact of the matter is he has some course history here. He won the U.S. Amateur back in 2018. He was also the low amateur in 2019 when they played that at Pebble Beach. But let's be honest, guys, he, over the last 6 months near the end of the season last year, he was the best player on tour, bar none. He was the hottest at the end. He also, before he went on that streak, finished T13 in last year's event. Again, not the best field last year, but just keep that in mind. But since winning that tour championship at the end of last year, he finished T5 at the BMW, T2 at the DP World Championship, T10 at the Hero World Challenge, and then T22 at the Century in his first event this year. Again, this is more of I'm just betting one of the hottest golfers on the planet, if not the hottest, and I'm also betting the number. I thought he would be way closer to what we're seeing Rory and Scotty at 8-1. Instead, he's 12-1. So I love him at 12-1, and I also like him to finish inside the top 10 at plus 130. Anything quickly on Hovland before I get to my next one, fellas?
I guess the only thing I'd say is I'm not surprised. we all love Vic all the time, so I love the fact that we're coming out here with a Vic Hovland play, man.
We have to. He wasn't on my initial card, and then I just looked at the number again. And I said, I'm an idiot if I don't take him here. Max Homa, 16-1. Again, surprise, surprise. I'm betting Homa. But he, again, another guy that came on strong near the end of the year. He loves playing in the state of California. 4 of his 6 wins have come in the Golden State. And we're going to be experiencing a little bit of different weather with rain and winds, which does a little bit scare me with Homa. That's not the type of player that I kind of expect with him, but he has just turned this corner in the second half or 3 quarters through the season last year. He's a gamer, and he elevates his game as of late in these signature events. So I expect to see the best out of him at 16-1, and I like him inside the top 10 at plus 180. JT, you told me this 6 months ago. You could not pay me. You couldn't set a number high enough to bet on Justin Thomas, but he has absolutely been on fire to start this year. And again, the field hasn't been as strong, but when you look at his strokes gained numbers, analytically, he's been the best player on tour. He has picked up, and I think we are due to see a bounce back season. He has top 5 finishes in each of his last 4 worldwide starts, including a tie in the Amex in 3rd. And he was in the final group just 2 weeks ago in those. And in those 4 rounds, he's gaining strokes on approach And each round, he's actually gained at least 1 full stroke per round. So 22-1. I think this is the year JT. I don't know if he wins a major, but I think we're going to see him a little into form more than what we have. Also, top 20, you can get him at plus 200. So I really like that one there. Tommy Fleetwood, again, surprise. P. Greggy's going with Tommy Fleetwood. This course is playing more like a UK course than it is a California course with all this weather. And there might not be a better golfer in this weather than Tommy Fleetwood. You look at all his success, at the Open, any of his DP World Tour events where there is some crazy weather, even in the Canadian Open last year when we saw some rain as well. And Fleetwood, again, you could put him in that conversation with one of the most consistent golfers last year down the stretch. He's finished inside the top 10 in 5 of his last 8 starts. So give me him to win at 33-1 and a top 20 finish at plus 110. Last, but certainly not least, Nick Taylor, the Canadian. This is my long shot at 100-1. He loves playing at Pebble Beach. You could make a case that over the last 4 or 5 years, he's been the best golfer at this course. He won in 2020. But he's also posted 3 straight top 20 performances. And in this entire field, which is pretty shocking considering the vets on the PGA Tour that we have, he's actually played this course the 4th most out of all of them. Only Day, Kuchar, and Spieth have played more rounds than Taylor at, I believe it's 29 different rounds.
Wow.
He already finished inside the top 10 at the Sony Open. He did have a setback last week, but again, weather goes into this well. He's a BC boy. He played in the Pac-12, Washington Husky, so he's not afraid to get a little bit wet. So I'll sprinkle the big number, but I'm more dialed into his top 20 finish at plus 280.
Huss, where are you going on this one?
Well, this is actually going to surprise you guys a little bit, but a guy that I almost never pick, but I'm picking him this week.
What?
I'm going with Jordan Spieth.
I got Spieth on my board too. He's in my 3.
I'm not a Spieth guy. So this is a signature event and everyone is there, but historically, a lot of guys haven't played Pebble in the past. Spieth's not that guy. He's been there 10 years in a row. He was like T63 last year, but at 3 top 10s in the years before, has won this event in 2017. And I think he opened at 20. He's at 18 now, but I still sort of think that he is this is sort of a spot that I know we're focusing on some other guys. It'd be great for him to get, a win early in this season. So I kind of like this spot here for Jordan Spieth. So I usually kind of try and target that 20 to 40 range, 20 to 50 range normally with my picks. And I do have some in there, but Spieth is going to be my low guy. I do love Vic. I'm just picking favorites at 12-1. You either need to really kind of boost your bet right there and go all in on a guy. I spread it around a little bit more. Now, going back to last weekend, Pat, if you recall, I made 3 wagers for the Farmers, and I believe they all finished top 20. I had Tony Finau. I had Hideki, who was at 50-1, and then Ashke Badia at 80-1. And at least, I know none of them won, but during the 4th round, I think Ashke was the furthest back, and he was T12. So I like where Finau and Matsuyama are at right now. And to be honest, I think considering the way that they have played, I couldn't help but, listen, then Tony was a bit of a FOMO bet. What if I don't bet him? Me, I'm pretty much always on him. But this is a place where he's been good before. He's played at before. His game seems to be rounding into form. He's ready to just take that next step. I was disappointed. He was 2 shots off the lead in the 3rd round. And then, had a couple bogeys that took him back, and it just wasn't quite enough to be able to get up there with the winners and that French guy paving that won. But at 33-1, I'm backing Tony Finau, and at 66-1, I couldn't help but put a little bit on Hideki as well, even though it's a bit more of a long shot. Normally I'll do 3, but I sort of split my third bet between 2 guys. I mean, I put the regular unit on Spieth, regular unit on Finau. And because I'm getting Hideki at 66 to 1, I split that bet from another guy that has quietly had an unbelievable start to the season. And that was one of my old man crushes. Fell off the tour for a bit, came back, but my guy, Benny On.
He's been on fire,
awesome
man.
This year right now. In a lot of the shots gained, tee to green, he's right there with the top players so far this year. Again, it's an elevated event. I would have liked a bit better of a number than 40 to 1, but I think it just speaks to, even in this elevated event, how good he's been this year. If you dig deeper into the numbers, how competitive he's been. So Benny On's getting a little bit of a sprinkle, but the bigger bets are Spieth and Finau, and then we split one in between Benny On and Hideki, 40 and 66 to 1 respectively.
Yeah, the 3 guys for me quickly, Huss, because I know you got to go here, but I'll just quickly lay this out. I do have Jordan Spieth in there at 18 to 1. You did mention his success recently, not great last year. The 2 years before that, he was second in 2022, and he was T3 in 2021. You mentioned he won it in 2017. He was third at the Century already this year. So I think you can combine course history and maybe some current form, and I like Jordan Spieth at 18 to 1. I got another guy that I know we don't like to put on our cards very often just because of how he approaches the game, but he co-owns. I know. Yeah, I'm doing it. He co-owns the course record, 62. His last 2 trips here, finished 3rd, finished 4th. The last 3 trips here, he's been inside the top 11. I mean, the guy's going to contend pretty much every event, but he's certainly contended here. He has not won this event, but he's been close a number of times. And you can get him at the same number as Jordan Spieth right now at 18 to 1. So it's early in the year to be going Patrick Cantlay already. But I'm going to throw Cantlay on here. And then I'm going a deeper shot for my third guy. I'm going to go with Denny McCarthy here. He's plus 8,000 right now. He's one of the top 5 putters in the world. The last 2 years at this event, he finished 4th and T12th. And you can get him at 80 to 1 right now. And with the weather factors in here, he's not great off the tee, but he's excellent in the short game. And obviously, like I said, he's got a putter that is just absolutely tremendous. And I think that could end up making a little bit of a difference here as well. So when I saw him at the plus 8,000 number, that's definitely a longer shot than we usually mix in. I'll usually try to go like 2 of these guys in the 18 range and then somebody in like that plus 3,000, plus 4,000 range. But I just think it's insane value right now on Denny McCarthy here at 80 to 1, considering he's had significant success here the last 2 times out, and he's an amazing putter. So I'll get on Denny McCarthy here at plus 8,000.
You just convinced me. I have added Denny McCarthy to the card.
That didn't take much.
Yeah. No.
I mean, at 80 to 1, that's tough. I mean, he's got the history already. 80 to 1, come on.
Yeah, it's not even just the course history for me. Like, I think there was a stretch last year in the middle of the year where Dusty, I think he was on our card almost every
We went with
week.
a lot of Denny McCarthy last year, yeah.
And you could make a fortune responsibly just betting Denny McCarthy top 10s and just time after time. And then finally the book kind of figured things out. Again, a lot of those were on some of the smaller events with not quite as big a field, but he's also performed in big events as well. So at 80 to 1, I think I know I already got a pretty big card, but I think I'm going to add him at half a unit, at least get him involved in somehow. And you guys obviously mentioned Spieth. Spieth was right there. I ended up saying screw it and went a little bit further down the board and went with my bet on Hovland, but Spieth was right there. If we're going to put some sort of parlay together, Spieth is a no-brainer for me since both you guys are on him. I really like that there.
Boys, I got to run quickly, but you know where I'm at with the guys. Any of my guys I will put forth in any sort of parlay consideration. And Dusty, we'll get after it tomorrow. All the futures for the NHL will be out after these games are finished tonight. A little more Super Bowl updates, and I guess we're gonna have to bet. I'm waiting for those odds on the skills competition as well. That is what I'm looking forward to betting on this weekend.
You're a DJ when you're waiting and refreshing to be like, give me those skills competition odds.
but this is actually going to be an awesome skills competition. I mean, like $1 million,
like a competitive skills comp. Yeah.
Format. I've been digging in. I know all about the format. We can dig into that as well when we get to it over the next couple days. But let's get on that hockey parlay to finish up this pre-All-Star portion of the schedule. Preds, Wings, Sharks plus 1.5. Although Richard Croft and I ride with us plus 850 if you want to take the Sharks to win. Fellas,
have a good show, Huss. There goes Huss. Patty, let's try to put together. We got 3-4 minutes left here. Yeah, you like Spieth. Huss and I are both on Spieth. We could definitely put to Spieth into a little parlay here as well.
What do you guys think about? Okay, so my other bets were Hovland, Homa, Thomas, Fleetwood, and Taylor. I think Taylor might be a little bit too far down the board. But what do we think of one of those guys? I think Denny. I think we go Denny.
Yeah,
maybe a top 10, top 20.
Yeah, I would think if we
top 20.
Yeah, I think Denny top 20 for sure factors in there. I was looking at that a little bit earlier on. It's like plus 200. I think we throw that in there. I'm pretty sure it's plus 200. Yeah, it's plus 200. So we can get Denny McCarthy in plus 200 in the top 20. And then what are we looking at? We're looking at Spieth top 10. And you want to go Vic top 10? You want to go 2 top 10s? Like
Spieth 10, Vic top 10.
Yeah.
5 might be a little too.
Yeah, that's probably going a little bit. Yeah, I think we go Vic top 10 is plus 130. Spieth top 10 is plus 188. And then Denny top 20 is plus 200. So that's going to end up being a really good number. So
it'll be a really good number for sure.
Yeah.
And just if anyone else, I think I saw some folks in the chat already take a look at the boosted golf odds specials. We've got a few. I've got 2 Greggy's golf specials. I've got the 3 that I already picked, Homa, Thomas, and Fleetwood, all to finish inside the top 20. That one's plus 650.
Okay.
Really like that one. Then I've got another Greggy golf special, and I don't have any skin in the game with these guys, but I think these 3 guys are poised to have big years. Ludwig Aberg.
We were dabbling around Aberg last year. Remember? It was cool. Yeah. No, I like it.
And I know this is going to be the tournament he wins because I don't have an outright on him, but I did put a special together called the Young Guns, and I think I might just run this blindly anytime these 3 are in the field. So it's either Aberg, Dunlap, or Hogard to win. 18-1. Either of those 3 guys to win, 18-1. There's also a bunch of others. This one, you guys, I think would be all over. JT and Spieth both to make the top 20 plus 850.
Oh, that's a nice one.
That's a really good number. I was shocked to see that. Any Canadian to place in the top 10 plus 115. Any Canadian to finish in the top 5 plus 225. Any Canadian player to win, 25-1. Cantlay and Schauffele both inside the top 10, plus 600. Hovland to finish top 10. Aberg to finish top 20. I think that's where I saw someone in the chat, plus 450 for that one. I really like that one. Day and Scott both inside the top 10, 25-1. And I think that is it that we have so far.
Good stuff, buddy. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing these Taylor Swift props when they finally pop up over at Cool Bet as well. That's going to be good. We're going to do a whole episode next week on just Taylor Swift props.
I was going to say we might need to do 2 Lock Shop Super Bowl previews. One, the actual game itself, and then the other one, the novelty bets. Because I just the slate. Shout out to our odds makers. They've already got a bunch of stuff
coming up.
There's even more coming. Like this morning we were discussing. I think they're starting to put the halftime odds up with Usher, and there's going to be some absolute bangers out for that one. So I'm excited. I can't wait. It's the best time. But yeah, there's just so much to bet on. It's the best.
That is going to do it for the Lock Shop today. Oil Stream coming up here on Edmonton Sports Talk. All the numbers, of course, we talk about anywhere here in Edmonton Sports Talk, you'll find over at coolbet.com. Patty, thanks for popping by, man. Appreciate it. Talk to you later in the week.
Good luck.
There we go. That's Pat Gregoire. Thanks a lot for joining us today. Good luck tonight, everybody. And we will talk to you tomorrow right here on the Lock Shop. Oil Stream coming up at Edmonton Sports Talk.